welcome to College Villa. It's been a great honor and pleasure for us to be interviewed with you. And you can just start with your profile.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity for Dunia being with us. So my name is Alex Melvin, and I have around 15 years of experience into HR, and predominantly 10 plus years into training. And I started my career as a consultant training and placements, and I worked for almost 5 plus years. For many IT and non-IT based companies, I was into recruitment part. And then I started as a personality development trainer. So I worked for around 2 plus years in that. And then I became a master coach and a branch manager for a company called as CHRMP, which is a Certified Human Resource Management Professional. So I was the master coach and the training for HR professionals. It is a specific diploma only for HRs. And during that tenure, I have trained around 250 plus HRs personally. So, well, from top MNCs and all that. And then I became the academic head of A&B school, Avidus Academy of Management. In the year 2020, I've been associated with them. For the last 3 years, I'm taking care of all the academic related and training stuff and all that. So this is just a small introduction.
So let enter into the questionnaire sessions. So you have held key positions at education institutes. So throughout your professional career, what are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
There are multiple factors which I probably consider. So I think to start off with, I think one of the very, very famous quotation which I always have in my mind, keeping in my career, a very famous Vivekananda quotation that people are not useless, but they are used for less. Sure. And people are careless, but cared for less. Right? I think as a HR, even when I started my career, I had a perspective that my freshers are not trainable, they have defects, and they should not be given opportunities and all that. But over a period of time, this quotation struck me. I think I searched where I can do this properly. Okay. I think that is where I took up a career as trainer. Okay. So as a trainer, always my master mentors and all have told only one thing, right? Yeah. If a learner is not able to learn something, the blame is on the trainer, not on the learner. Yeah. So I think I believe in that. I think one of the key things which has been keeping me for so many decades I've been into training, I have never been frustrated, is because I always feel that as a trainer, I personally take that as my obligation. So my learner has come. They have come here to learn something, right? So I think as a trainer, I need to satisfy that. I think one of the key takeaways which I always feel as a trainer is like that. When I show the quality, when I act like a role model to my students, I think they follow me literally. I think that is what has been happening for the last. And I have trained all ages in my life. Right? So, and I don't buy the quote that there are some quotation where they say like during a kid you can learn something, and when you're grown up an adult there is something that you cannot do. But I always feel that anybody we can, if you teach them properly, I think they learn. Right? And it's a human nature that they will change also. I think this is one thing that I've been holding for the last so many years, and I think that is where I'm not going out of my education also. That's what keeping me running for so many years.
Any insights into how your institute could be more welcoming to students of different races or economic backgrounds?
One thing is that to be very to first start off with, if you take my own background, right, how I come, the kind of the environment which I learned and all that was not very different. I was a first generation learner, obviously. But the problem is I got into Layla, such a premium institution, I went inside. But the problem is everybody was premium there, right? They're already creamy, right? But I always had this in mind, how can I gel with this crowd? Right? So there's so much of people, they already know everything, right? But the problem is my teachers, my professors, they also said the same thing which I said, right? My students can be premium, but I am not that premium. Right? I am also coming from that background. And AM, as an academic person, when I took over training, I think I believed this. Okay. From where we started is my faculties belong to different diversity groups. Right? So they are self-made trainers. I think we have that one commonality which I have. in all my industry faculties, which whoever is coming to AM or visiting, everybody is a self-made person, right? And they have started from scratch. I think this is what we inculcate to AM also. When we start as a student, when people come from different backgrounds, always I say in my orientation program in AM, I always say one thing. First thing is, your past can be anything, but today we're rewriting your history again. Right? So from today onwards for the next 1 year, what are you going to become? That is what is going to be your life. That is your recency. As a HR, we only see the recency part. I think this is where we focus on. I think when we show all these people to different kind of students, I think they slowly come out. Now, okay, I'm not alone, right? So I'm seeing so many people, and all these people are successful, and they have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the moral boost that student actually gets in AM. I think I believe that in 1 year, and I don't take that kind of profile because you are going to be labeled as a HR or a marketing person. I think domain-based labeling is what is your next 5-year plan, right? So you don't have to get labeled on economic standards or your education or nothing like that. Your labeling is going to be on education background. I think this is the first thing that we inculcate from the day 1 AM. I believe in that also.
Okay. And how do you try to bring a practical approach to subjects and make them industry oriented?
Yeah. I think we have something called as one of our flagship program is PGDM, Postgraduate Diploma in Management, where what is that PGDM so unique in AM is like we created a certification model, right? Where my students are given on hands-on experience, right? So for example, when I say payroll, I don't teach them how payroll is, what is the compensation acts and all that, but my student will be taught on if they give a salary, right? If you tell them to calculate a salary, they'll be able to do that. I think more of a practical based approach, where we want to just teach you the customized part. When you go to a company, as a HR, you're entering a corporate, there are some prerequisites that you need to do certain things. I think the prerequisite is designed as a course in PGDM. So I think that is only is focused. The other bits and pieces we don't cover. What is there, your fundamentals is covered in MBA and your add-ons is covered in PGDM. So that when a student goes to a corporate, he knows what is that and what kind of experience that he can get. Right? I think from there we start. And then second thing we have something called as club activities, right? Which is something like an international model. Any B school that you go, they have clubs. Now, what is the idea of this club is basically that it is a ticket to the outer world. Right? When you go to the outer world, there are so many things that is there. So we need to give that kind of exposure level. These club activities will give that exposure level. It's almost a 20-week program which we run. And some clubs are digital marketing club, we have budding business, we have future work wizards and all that, where every student has to bring outsiders, right? And they have to meet entrepreneurs. And they have to make presentations before them. And they have to study the market on ground reality. There are so many things which we can do, which probably my academics will have restriction, but not the club, right? And the club choice is from the student. And so that, again, the 20 weeks will again give them the exposure, right? Where they're learning something and they're implementing something, right? But on their own, they're learning. But we just facilitate that. So I think that is the second option that we have. Another thing, finally, towards when we complete our first year, we have something called as domain-based projects, which is a 100-hour project, which is based on task. Right? We give them certain tasks. Every student has to perform that. Based on the task, assessments are given. I think through these ways we have tested and trialed based on the generations we have tried, and various batches we have some add-ons to this. Right? So there are some basic things we do. Based on that, we work on it. I think this is where AM is doing that, and I think that is where I am also doing my job actually. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And how does the department enhance the skills of faculty and prepare them according to the industry standards?
Okay, so when you talk about the domain-based experts, when you talk about now who we label as a domain-based expert is something that we have, right? When you talk about how, for example, our major concentration is HR, marketing, and finance. I think these are the domains that we concentrate on. Apart from that, we have operations, we have systems also. But primarily into HR, marketing, and finance. So when you talk about marketing and HR, we have so many avenues actually, which probably the general market would not know. But when I call a person, right, when I call an expert or when I say a faculty, when we say them, who is a faculty according to AM is, somebody who's not having that paper experience.
Okay.
We don't call them like that. No, you have 15 years of experience in HR, then no, you're not like that. Then we look for people who have practiced this domain. So, for example, in HR, we have various verticals. We have talent acquisition, we have employee engagement, we have payroll, we have general HR. So we take in that specific areas how many years you have worked.
Okay.
And what is the kind of training exposure that you have.
Okay.
Now, what is the kind of extra certifications that you have done?
Okay.
I think these are the list of criteria that if you want to become a faculty in AM. Right? So with that, we test and trial like how much intensity these people have learned.
Okay.
And there is also a criteria of when you want to become a faculty, there are certain criteria that we have. Because the idea is, I have a student in my class who is already experienced also. I have a student who is a 0 year also.
Okay.
But I have something which is common for everyone.
Okay.
And my placements are common for everyone. So now the idea is when I have a faculty who is coming inside, I think this person is an expert.
Okay.
But the problem is he needs to talk a language of a student.
Okay.
I think this is where we check and trial that. And it's not very different from the corporate training model also which they do. A little deviation that we work.
Okay.
Because it's a business administration and it's completely a commercial business learning skills that I should inculcate. I think this is where we looking for that kind of qualities that we have for a faculty, and based on that, if they are really good, they are really gelling well, we can just go ahead with that. So that is how it works. I think this is the model that we follow.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.